Thanks for joining, everyone. Great to have you all here. Format for today will be quick update from me on some kind of general stuff, quick tech update from David, then a new kind of feature just to introduce someone from the team, which will be Clay. And then we'll get on to the real purpose of the town hall, which is open question format, letting people dig into the project, find out things they don't know. There's some questions already in Telegram, and I'd really encourage people to drop questions into the chat so we can get a sense of what people are wanting to know, and also so we can kind of flip between different people on our side, make sure it's not me droning on or David, getting most of the words in. Aha, I can see Clay as well. Excellent. So kicking all of that off, just a kind of quick update on where we're at. On the marketing side, the first thing I'd say is I hope you're seeing more of the project around and about. We're really trying to expand what we're doing in the marketing space. Some of that includes more of things you would have seen before, and some of that is experimenting, trying new things. Some really great stuff's come out of community as well, like the guys putting together the Cyto's voice, just sort of recapping and bundling up some of the great stuff that's happening in community and making that available and digestible to people. We've also done some stuff I kind of think of as flag waving type marketing. It's not so in depth, but it's just getting our brand and our name out there, trying to pick up new people, kind of, let them see that we're there, and hopefully pick up some of them as sort of converts. And we've seen that with kind of Twitter competitions and the arcade photo competition. We're just really trialing stuff there and seeing what works and what gets some traction for us. We've also been trying some new stuff around .arcade, just trying to push into Polkadot communities, etc. Again, we're trying to sort of make sure we get our voice out more broadly than we have before, and to different communities and things. And anyone who's got any ideas or ideas of ways we can reach out better to community there, we'd really encourage them. Hit us up in Telegram, make suggestions. We really love that. And then the last, probably the biggest thing that's happening as well is we've started sort of working with some new people in the ambassador program. So we've been advertising that for a week or so. We've got some people who've come in. Most of those people are somewhere from our community. They're not totally new. And they're involved in other parts of the crypto space or forums like Reddit, etc. And we're working with them to help them get that Cyto message out more organically and deeper into groups where it's hard to kind of enter as a stranger and jump in. So that's really a broad update on marketing, and we'll be able to answer any questions in more depth later in the main section. Before we move on to tech, some quick project updates. One is we got listed on ZT, so it's always good to have another exchange, and we hope that sort of keeps up for the next while. Other just big functional news, the second tranche, what there was of it that hadn't gone out already, of the seed and private investment round tokens went out. I think that's about a week and a half ago. That wasn't too much to go out and went out without an issue, so it's a while before there's any more token release. And on that note, we have made some updates on Medium and on our blog if anyone's interested in details, and we will be moving some of basically all of the treasury tokens to Gnosis vaults in the next few days. We'll have announcements about that, and that's really just a security measure, particularly now that we've kind of well and clear of that second tranche, and we've kind of bedded in what our spending and things are around the raise money as well. So the only thing really to note there is you'll see an announcement about that, just to be completely clear to community about what's going on with treasury movements, because people should know that. So that's really a quick update on the project announcements, and then I think maybe I'll just kick over to David for a quick tech update. We're not hearing you, David.
I had to unmute. Yeah, I'll keep this really short, and if people have specific questions, we can talk about them. As people know, we're in the middle of a bunch of stuff. The big thing is this Rust implementation. You guys will hear from Clay in a bit. He's done a lot of work with this. He's also, if you've noticed, the username registration is working a lot better now than it used to. He also had a bunch of pain on that.
Hey, look, I found the bugs to throw at Clay.
Yeah, he gets the unpleasant ones. But yeah, we're about halfway done, I think. We've got we've started working on networking, which means getting multiple nodes connecting. And we're moving beyond the classic implementation of just a golden ticket paying a miner and router. And we're moving towards the golden ticket now paying multiple routers, kind of cascading backwards. So there are a couple of big things that need to happen. But we're on schedule, I think, is the important thing. And anyone who's got questions, you can fire them off, or just, follow what's happening on GitHub. And with that, Richard.
Richard. On mute.
I can keep talking, but let's cut us off today.
So I think by popular demand, from community wanting to see someone that's not me and David talking to them occasionally, we thought we'd introduce you to someone in someone new in the team this town hall, and that's Clay. So I asked Clay to just sort of quickly introduce himself, and then again, the point of this meeting is more for questions later, so we'll get around to those as soon as we can.
Yeah, hi everybody. So my name is Clay, like Richard said. I've been on Team Saito for I think over 9 months now.
Fast.
Prior to I studied electrical engineering in school, and I have about 15 years of software development experience. I've done a little bit of everything, mostly web stuff, but prior to becoming more blockchain entrepreneurial, I was at Google doing protecting their ads ecosystem on a team internally called ad spam, externally called ad traffic quality, where we basically have to detect all the fake clicks on all of Google's ad products. So that was kind of a lot of responsibilities. It was a cool experience, and I learned a lot. It was like big data, ML sort of stuff. But after that, I got really into blockchain, and surprisingly at Google, there was very, very few opportunities to get into that space. So I had a startup with a partner here in China where we were trying to do some sort of platform, turnkey solution for enterprises to enter the blockchain space, trying to target rewards programs and things like that. And we ended up going separate ways because there was kind of a disconnect between me and my partner. And one of the big problems we ran into was actually technical, right? So we couldn't scale, right? The things that my partner wanted to do, I kept trying to explain to him, you just can't do that on Ethereum. But it was we were I felt like we were selling something that we didn't really have. And so, while I was doing that, I ended up running into David in a WeChat chat group, and we were arguing about something about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. I think I also bucketed him as a BSV guy initially because he was kind of making some principled arguments about Bitcoin Cash, and most of the people that were trying to speak in that sphere at the time there was a big disconnect between the Bitcoin Cash and the BSV people. So we ended up meeting for a pint here in Beijing, and David talked to me for an hour and a half about Saito, while the rest of the team were being more normal. But
one lesson there is that Saito is a lot easier if you have beer, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, at that point I was still kind of stuck in my other partnership, but I kind of knew at that point that if I ever was able to exit that and looking for something cool to work on in Beijing, that Saito would have to be it. So basically, as soon as I was available, I joined the team, and it's been a great experience so far. We're really doing cool stuff here, so it's great. So yeah, happy to answer questions if people have them.
Cool.
You know.
Thanks for that. So yeah, I think we've got some questions popping up in chat and also from Telegram. Please feel free to literally ask us anything. And particularly around the .arcade stuff, or kind of strategy where we are. I see one question here from someone saying, they'd love to see us talk more about these 51% attacks, etc. I'm actually, I see in the Telegram group, there's news of a big 51% attack today, but I haven't actually followed it today. I've been a bit busy preparing for this and other things. So I'm not sure if anyone could give us more information on that. But I do think that that's one of the things that does present us with chances to talk about what is different about Cyto out there. So I'm just reading through the question.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm curious. What are these 51% attacks that are happening? Because we should know more about the space, but like we're just building Saito all the time, so we don't always know.
Someone's gunning for BSV, so they just keep reorging whatever Tal does. It's actually kind of funny.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah. It's just a hash attack, right. And all of the miners are now leaving, right? So like anyone who's not Tal is now fleeing for the door, which makes the attacks easier. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Someone here is asking Clay. I'm not sure we should be as honest about this. Where did you learn Rust?
Well, so I had quite a bit of systems. I mean, not quite a bit. I mean, more than most people, systems experience. So I had once upon a time done a game platform in C with embedded Python. And so I learned a lot of systems programming doing that. And then obviously at Google, like everything's very low level. You're dealing with pushing bytes around, but I did not know Rust prior to joining Saito. And, Richard and David, I think, were keen on using that. So I've just been, I just spent some time at Saito learning it here. But, once you know enough languages, Rust is very, very unique. And there is a steep learning curve, but I love it. I think it's it's like by far my favorite language now, I think. It's so cool.
It's got the most helpful debugger,
Yeah, helpful.
It's like, I think you're making this exact mistake. And you're like, yeah, I am. So.
All I hear is Clay mumbling to himself loudly every now and then when the debugger's mean. But I haven't actually taken my first steps into Rust yet. Cool. We've got another question here. How is .arcade different from regular arcade?
Do you want to tackle that Rust question first? We just got one from Greenie. I think that's a really good one to answer. Let me jump in. I'll just answer it. So JavaScript runs in the browser, right? But it's using one CPU. And what that means is that as the block gets bigger and there's more and more work to be done, more and more cryptographic stuff to be done, you get a limit on how fast you can process a block because you've got one CPU to do it. And the problem is you can kind of optimize and trick your way around it by doing things like taking that block, dividing it into 10 chunks, sending it to 10 processors, and then they do their own stuff. The problem is that there are all of these trade-offs that you can't avoid. Rust is so beautiful because on a fundamental level, it's designed so it's really easy for us to do something like read the block into memory, and then it sits in that space of memory. And we go to like 10 CPUs, 20 CPUs, 40, 60 CPUs, and we say, each of you guys take some of this work and do it. So Rust is much, much, much better for parallelization. And that's really great because as blocks get huge, you start to hit bottlenecks reading them into memory and moving just that size of data around. And so we don't want to be doing that multiple times. I think we've shared some numbers. We can share some more, but basically Rust is outperforming my expectations of how fast we can get things. I think, Clay's comments as well. I think Clay's, hopefully like me, Clay's blown away. I'm blown away by Rust. You have thoughts, Clay, or?
Yeah, I mean, like I think the only other reasonable choice would maybe be Go. But to the most simple answer is we want to get a low level language, right? We want to get something that's compiled and where we're doing real systems level stuff, and we can push bytes around to really just squeeze out every bit of performance from the machine. And then, as far as like Rust versus C++ or Go, it's just, a bit of a subjective choice, but one that I definitely agree with, just because Rust really lets you do low level stuff, but without a lot of the sacrifices like you would have to deal with C or C++ at least. I don't know Go so well, but it's just really it's a really great choice because it gives you the best of both worlds. You I feel like we're able to be really productive, like almost as productive as you would be in JavaScript as far as just like getting the functionality down. But then it's like, 40 times more performant if you're going to use 40 CPUs or whatever, right? So.
Cool.
Perfect.
Seeing another question here, I think maybe I'll take a stab at it and then hand over to the other guys as well. How is .arcade different from regular arcade? And I think there's one way to answer that is it really isn't. And the reason I'm saying that is the point is that it's a demonstration of being able to simply develop in Cyto and then use code that you've written in really regular standard web format to do things with other cryptos that is a lot of work doing it other ways. So the idea is really that it demonstrates how simply that you can slot other cryptos into the Cyto ecosystem. The difference is right now it's supporting Polkadot ecosystem tokens, and in future we hope to expand that a lot more. Not sure if David or Clay would have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I just add that it's really milestone 1 of that grant proposal that we got into the DOT people. We can probably spin out milestone 2 anytime. I think we're waiting to see how the outreach with the DOT arcade stuff goes, because partly it's a marketing effort. See how receptive that community is. And I can see that Dan's asked a question about like Elrond. One of the questions we're thinking about post getting Saito Rust up is exactly what's the best way to make it so that we can really easily add stuff, because the way we are doing things with DOT is really custom to their hardware and their servers, and there are other ways that might be easier and more flexible. But yeah, I mean, technically, the DOT, like Richard says, is going to be pretty much the same as the normal one. The question is really when we get that second milestone in and when people can practically come with other cryptos. Clay, you want to add something?
I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, I guess I would ask Emilio what he's really trying to get at with that question, maybe.
I thought we were going to get a guitar.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Brandon is ready to launch into Back in Black or something similar. Cool. I see another question here in Telegram about how actively engaged the VC investors are. And the real answer to that is it's really varied.
You were mid how active people are.
Yeah, so we've got for instance the seed investor who is with a really early supporter who's now with a new fund that they've set up that have come in again, who David and I tap for advice and investment quite advice and I was going to use another word, but basically advice on a regular basis. So we'll talk to them for advice and feedback is the word I was looking for. Really regularly. They have helped us find staff. They have helped us, structure the IDO, etc. Really daily activity. We've got other investors who have put some marketing muscle and things like that behind us and help amplify our messages. And we've got others that really are very much silent partners. And that's something we're working with, is getting the most out of them. It's a two-way street. We need to push them to do it. And it's really changed, I think, in the space. We have got a lot more investors in the recent rounds who are an investor with something they bring to the party, with whether they're they've got communities that they can message into, or they help us with outreach and marketing. So yeah, it really is, it is very varied, but we're looking to get more out of all of our investors, I think, all of the time. Don't know if David has something to add.
No, I'd say we're kind of, I think it's something we've actually been focused on finding out for the last 2 to 3 weeks. We've been proactively reaching out to people and figuring out who's helping with what sort of thing, because different kind of investors also mean different obligations to the project.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like Richard said, it runs the gamut from like our lead investor in 2017, Lee Xiao Lai, those guys are amazing, fantastic, to, a smaller person that might have got a smaller allocation because they run a blockchain promotion group or something. So it's, it's different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've been blown away by some people and we're less impressed with others. Let's say that as well. And it's a learning experience too for us. Just looking through other questions there, I think George saying that he's considering applying to be an ambassador. And I would say to anyone in the community, if you're interested in being part of that program, let us know. Like, we're not expecting specific things. We want to find out what people can bring to the project, and we want to work with them to make sure that's rewarding and fun and exciting for them. So seriously, don't feel like there's some kind of threshold that maybe you don't qualify or whatever. We're happy to talk to people, and it's not wasting our time or something you can't do. If you're already participating in Telegram, that's great. How will Cyto revolutionize e-commerce? Who wants to take this one?
E-commerce is e-commerce. Richard, Clay?
I think the whole purpose behind Cyto, that core idea of Web3, is to get away from various technical and financial systems that allow incumbents to monopolize and to control what users or consumers can do. So what we're hoping to do is be part of doing that, letting people use keys online to be their identity and to own and maintain their identity, and not have to give that away to the credit card company or to Amazon to be controlled on their behalf. So we're hoping that we will see things like open marketplaces and stuff. And I think that will start with things like content aggregation and stuff like that, where people use tools built on Cyto to use crypto and micropayments and other things to share revenue with producers directly and other people like aggregators who are doing something useful for them, rather than basically it's Spotify, Google Music, maybe one or two other services, and you just have to hand over everything to them, and that's what you've got. So thanks everyone for giving us your time this evening and for being part of this. It's been great fun, and we really appreciate everyone's coming in and being part of it tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks everyone.